In the previous two videos, we talked about the variation in electronic configuration of elements, and we've spoken about the S, P, D, and F blocks of the periodic table. So, a periodic table not only gives us the information for the electronic configuration, but it also gives us certain information about the characteristics of these elements. Now, in the periodic table, if you notice, if you remember, we talked about the first and the second group being called alkaline metals and alkaline earth metals. So, all of these elements are metals or they're metallic in nature. Whereas the ones in purple are non-metals. The ones in blue, these are called as metalloids. In this video, we will be discussing about the properties of all of these. But before we start that, group number 18, that is helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and radon. All of these are noble gases. They are highly unreactive in nature. So they are generally separate. So they are in a different color over here. One more important thing I'd like for you to see is the fact that these have a faded gray color because their properties are still not clearly known. Scientists can predict certain properties, but they do not know for sure what their properties are. So even when I said the noble gases, I only stopped at radon. I didn't include organism. So let's start. Metals. So metals are usually solid at room temperature except for mercury. Mercury is the only liquid at room temperature. If you remember, thermometer has mercury inside it. They have high melting and boiling points, and this is except gallium and cesium. So gallium and cesium generally melt on the, gallium especially, just when you put it on the palm of your hand, it melts. They are good conductors. So all the electric circuits that you look around you will contain metals. They're both malleable and ductile. So malleability is the property of an element of a particular metal to be drawn into sheets because it has two E's in it. That's how I remember it. Anyways, ductile, on the other hand, is the ability to draw it into wires. One of the best malleable and ductile element is gold, but due to its price, you can't have gold wires everywhere. So it's not used. Generally, most of the metals are supposed to be shiny and they're very hard and all of that. But sodium is is one of the examples of the elements which is a metal, but it is quite soft. It can actually be cut with a knife. Next, nonmetals. Nonmetals are usually solids or gases at room temperature, but bromine is the exception which is a liquid. They have low melting and boiling points. They're bad conductors of heat and electricity. I think we spoke about conductivity. Yes. They're neither malleable nor ductile. So these elements cannot be drawn into sheets or wires. And they're bad conductor. And the exception for its conductivity is graphite, which is actually a good conductor of, actually conducts electricity. With that, we finish non-metals. Metalloids are present in between metals and non-metals, and they show properties of both metals as well as non-metals, and most of their uses include, especially if you think about it, silicon is used in the solar panels, and most of the metalloids are good semiconductors. I think you'll be learning about semiconductors in physics. So with that, we can complete the topic about the electronic configuration and the various groups in the periodic table, or rather the various blocks in the periodic table. We learned about the characteristics of metals, non-metals, and metalloids. It's quite easy for us to understand based on the examples that you look around. Remember the exceptions for each of these types.